Welcome to Bleachers to Speakers. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B. Foster with me, and welcome to this week's NFC North Division show. Who will be kings? I will let my co-host introduce themselves and tell them where you can find and listen to their respective teams. Start off with you, Dave. Go ahead, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, everybody, I'm Dave Stefano. I am the executive producer over at Vikings First and Skull. You can find us just about anywhere you find content. We're over on YouTube. We're on every single podcast aggregator you can find. And we're also on the written side over at Fans First Sports Network. So you can find us there. And of course, we talk Vikings primarily and the NFC North today.
All right. Mr. Pay.
Let's go. Representing the Chicago Bears at DBC. That's the Bear Claw for Fans First Sports Network. I'm your boy Pay, executive producer. I like that term that Dave threw out there, so I'm gonna steal it from him. Executive producer at the Bear Claw. That's me. We are everywhere also where you can get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and everywhere else. We're also located on YouTube at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan. Check us out.
All right. Foster, introduce yourself to the people, man. I know I gave you a brief introduction, but you have a lot more to say than I do.
I'm the super producer over at my show. One half of Bleachers to Speakers. You can catch us on Motor City Metrics, Bleachers to Speakers, everywhere, and I'm ready. I'm ready for the show. I'm excited.
Well, fellas, how's your week going thus far? I know you guys, we've had a week to digest and process our draft picks. We'll go around the room. I want to start off with Pay because I know Pay couldn't wait for this day, for this show. I want to ask Pay, how did your Chicago Bears do on draft day with the number one pick? And I think it was number 9, right? First round?
That's correct. On Thursday, we had 2 picks, number 1 and number 9. I'm so happy. Ryan Poles didn't trade down at 9. Because that was a talk. About a good half of the Chicago Bear fan populace was like, man, we just trade down and get a haul. I don't know why people are so in love with the haul. Like, just draft the best player at the original position. Just get that and be good. I think we all know who's going to go number 1, Caleb Williams, the best quarterback, best player on the board. Easy choice. We didn't have a quarterback. Would you want to start your season with Nathan Peterman as your QB1?
You did the right thing.
Did the right thing. Take the best quarterback on the board, who's also the best player. Easy choice. That's where it got spicy there, Joan. Everything after that got real dramatic. And as we're sitting there on the live watch along, as we were doing on the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan on channel on YouTube, he was like, man, this draft is going very, very according to script. And we didn't expect that until we got to number 8. And those Dirty Birds did the thing that they are known to do. They love messing up that number 8 pick, don't they?
Oh, man.
They let Rome Oduzie fall right into our laps, no diddy. And hey, listen, I wasn't really thrown away. But I preferred Dallas Turner at this pick. But my 2 co-hosts, also on the Bear Claw, they were like, hey, no. Take Rome. That is the obvious choice right now. Rome Oduzie is a home run. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll settle for it. In my opinion, we'll settle for it. And I guess the other general managers in the next 7 picks agreed with my co-host. Dallas Turner, we don't want you. So we're cool there.
Well, there's another team that indulged into the Dallas Turner sweepstakes, but I'll let him tell you about his first round picks. Dave, what did Minnesota do?
Well, Minnesota was sitting there, and we tried to trade up to number 3 with the Patriots. They didn't accept the offer.
Okay.
Right? Which was, I think, probably best because, as you all know, I wanted J.J. McCarthy versus Drake May. Well, then the board starts moving down. And we were wondering if the New York Giants were going to move ahead or were going to take J.J. McCarthy in front of us. And Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who has a big brass set, stared him down, and they did not. Right? And so they move on down. And then what happens at number 8? Pay already talked about it. Atlanta Falcons. Not that I was worried about them selecting J.J. McCarthy. It just shocked us that they selected Michael Penix Jr. after paying Kirk Cousins or giving him a contract for $180 million with over 100 of it guaranteed.
Yeah.
We just died laughing.
Yeah.
Most Vikings fans at this point are rolling at seeing how fun that was. And we knew, hey, JJ's coming our way. And then it came down to number 9 pick, Chicago selected Rome Odunze, which I think is a fantastic pick for Chicago. Second best wide receiver in the draft. And it's making their offense all the more of a threat in the NFC North. Well, then the Jets were at 10, and we're hearing rumbles that there are people trying to jump us. So we moved up to 1 spot and selected the quarterback of the future, J.J. McCarthy, the young 21-year-old, just turned 21 in January, who's going to come in with some nurturing and some growth. KOC has done a study of how not to ruin a young quarterback, and they're going to take him through step by step to bring him up. We'll have Sam Darnold starting at the beginning until he is ready to take over, and I suspect that sooner rather than later. And Vikings fans rejoiced. We have a quarterback now with a winning attitude. That winning means everything to him, not just the stats.
Mm-hmm.
So we were having an absolutely fantastic night to that point. Well, what happens next? We move down. Everybody's dropping. More offensive players coming off the board. Bing, 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 bing. And then we sat there, and Kwesi turns to KOC, and I'm sure you've all seen the video. We're getting Dallas Turner. And so we moved up to 17 and grabbed Dallas Turner to add to Brian Flores' defense. And I can't wait to see the magic that Flores can make with that young man as he grows and develops into one of the league's best edge rushers. I think Thursday, day 1, we were ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic. That's how it went for the Vikings.
Well, Pay, did you have anything to add to that there, sir? You're muted.
I was going to wait till we got to our gripes, the gripes section of this show.
Okay, we'll wait to that. We'll wait to that. We'll just hold that thought. Hold that thought. Foster, what did your beloved Lions do on draft day 1?
Well, first and foremost, of course, we all know that the draft was in Detroit, and I really appreciate the fact that so much respect is being put on our city. We had a major turnout. Everything went off without any hitches. I love the respect that's being put on the NFC North as a whole, because I feel like all our teams got a lot stronger, even the Packers. Maybe. I don't really know what the Packers did. But anyways, it was nice to go down there on Saturday and kind of soak it all up and, mingle with a lot of the different fans. There was a lot of Bills fans and Browns fans and from all over the place. But overall, I think the draft was great. We were able to draft up and get Terrion Arnold, which was not on our bingo card, but I feel like he's the #1 corner, and we were able to fill that role. We were able to double up and get Ennis Reckenstraw, who was another guy that we had our eye on the entire time. I think Brad Holmes did a good job of utilizing those pre-draft meetings to, get a chance to meet these guys, shake their hand, and kind of get a real feel for them. And I feel like he utilized that to get the guys he wanted. I think we got some guys with some good value. I think that Trey Mingo could be a sleeper pick for us. He, great athlete, just a little undersized. So I love that pick. I love the guy out of Utah, Vaki, who played running back and safety, and did a 4-position workout of running back, receiver, safety, and special teams. So I think that he's going to be, if nothing else, he's going to be able to contribute day one on special teams and maybe play some running back as well. And I think we did a good job of addressing the depth on the offensive line. I think we got some guys that aren't going to have to play immediately, but over time they'll be able to develop, because we are a little bit long in the tooth at offensive line. And the crazy athlete we got, who's Manu, 6'8", 350 pounds. They've already decided that they want to move him to the right side to play guard alongside Sewell. Not necessarily for this year, but obviously we just locked up Sewell for a long time. So they already have foreseen him to be somebody that can play alongside him. So I can't be, I was really pleased, especially once I got a chance to, do my research and break things down. I think that there were some questions about not addressing the edge position and doubling up at the corner position. But I think when you got Justin Jefferson, you got Moore, you got Addison, you got all these receivers in our division, it's going to be important to have as many corners and strength in our secondary as we could possibly get, especially since the edge position. I feel like once we got to that second round, all the guys that we had eye on that we were interested in were kind of off the board. So overall, I'm pleased with the draft, and I'm excited for mini camp, all that stuff.
All right, and Dave, would you do us the honor? I mean, I know it may be painful, but
actually, it's not.
Okay, talk about the Green Bay Packers. What did they do on draft day? Day one.
They selected at 25 offensive tackle Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. Now, there was better linemen on the board at the time.
This is why you like talking about it.
Exactly. But they needed help up front, so I can get that. They took a lineman. Morgan can move inside to guard, but if they move right tackle Zach Tom to center, he would be their right tackle. The deal with Morgan is he has 31-inch arms. For a 6'5" tackle to have 31-inch arms, that's even short for guards. And I think it's 31-inch. They're short. It's T-Rex type of deal, right? That is amazing. He is going to get beat by edge rushers that are going to contact him before he can punch. That's why I'm all for this pick. Green Bay Packers, that wasn't the only lineman they took during the draft, but on Thursday night, first round, I think they hit a home run in picking a short-armed tackle.
I had Jordan Morgan. Most of the mocks that we did, that I did also on as NFC North with us, and on the homie show with the AFC North type of crowd. Jordan Morgan is I was circling him late round 2 for Baltimore, and for the Packers to take him in late round 1, like, okay, Green Bay, all right, I see you cooking. You're cooking a bowl of cereal. I like it. Go ahead, do your thing.
Hey, now our luck, and we all know it because we're in the division.
Yes,
is that he's going to turn out to be an All-Pro, but on paper, it was one of those things that had me laughing in the evening, and it was a wonderful Thursday night. Just absolutely great.
Pardon me. So let's go around the room here. Pay. We're going to try something different here. So, Pay, I want you to say something nice about the Lions pick. Foster, I want you to say something about Minnesota's pick, positive. And Dave, if you could be so to try to find something nice to say about Green Bay's draft overall, like a specific pick or position that they addressed. If you guys can come up with something, I know it's pretty easy for the Lions, Packers, and not Lions, Bears, and Minnesota. They all got wonderful picks in mind, from my opinion. But you guys can go around the room, and we'll start with Pay. This got to be good.
I got to say something nice about the Lions pick.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any good thoughts?
No, I mean, these are young, athletic, players. I mean, I'm not to perjure them or anything like that. I don't have anything mean to say at this juncture, at least. But yeah, the Terrion Arnold was the top 3 defensive player on the board for the entire draft, and the Lions getting him at. You all traded up to number 24. You all got him at 24. That is a steal. That is an absolute steal. That is possibly the biggest steal of the draft. Maybe, arguably, the biggest steal of the division in the draft. I think he's the best thing I like about Terrion Arnold. Not that just he's a good player, but that he is. I think he's got the type of character, the type of competitiveness that fit in with the what the Detroit Lions are building right now under Dan Campbell. So kudos, hats off to you guys.
All right, Dave,
I gotta say something nice about Green Bay.
If you could find it, you can find it in your soul to,
Actually, they had a decent draft, unfortunately. Per the experts, they did focus on the offensive line, which is good for them. They picked up a safety, a corner, but they may have picked their quarterback of the future in round 7 when they selected Michael Pratt, QB out of Tulane. No, I'm joking. It would be nice, but I'm joking. Michael Pratt will make the team. He'll be their QB3 this year, but most likely it may ascend to a QB2 spot, but that's it. But they had a functional draft. I wouldn't, they got Evan Williams at safety in the 4th, Tyron Hopper, linebacker out of Mizzou, which Mizzou can produce some pretty good linebackers. Marshawn Lloyd, running back out of USC. They were one of the first ones to, and that was in the 3rd round. So the running back class this year it stunk, but they got one. They got Javon Bullard, safety out of University of Georgia, in the 2nd round. They focused on the offensive line and some on the defense. It was a well-rounded draft for the Packers. Now, what is interesting about the Packers is they press to get younger. There is only one player on that team as of the draft that was over 30 years old.
Wow.
Everybody's under that. They're, I think, the 2nd youngest team in the league right now. That's going to be interesting because there's usually growing pains with young teams.
Right.
But since we all have improved over the last few years, where the NFC North is relatively young, and it's setting up the North to be a powerhouse. The only problem is we're going to be beating up on each other on the way to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not the worst problems.
No.
All right, Foster.
Let's hear it, Foster.
So we're talking about, I'm talking about the Vikings, correct?
Yes. And I'll talk about the Bears.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm not familiar with a lot of the Vikings players, but of course, when we talk about the dream pick, Dallas Turner was definitely, I think, the first name I mentioned. So I definitely like that pick for them. He's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC North. But also Kyrie Jackson. I do like, for me,
Oregon, 6'4".
Yeah, he's tall. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
corners are definitely my favorite, amongst my favorite positions to cover. So I did hear some things about him. And the fact that he's, everybody wants a tall, corner. So I did like that pick for them as well. But definitely the Dallas tournament. I was, kind of, in a way disappointed that that's where he ended up going. And of course, the Falcons kind of threw everything off with that. But I definitely like Dallas Turner as well as Kyrie Jackson.
Well, I'm curious about Kyrie Jackson and how he's going to play. He's already come out. He promised Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and the coach that he's going to be the best corner in the league. Cool.
Yeah.
Confidence.
He has the physical tools. Yes.
And that there's Tyler Fornes from the Real Forno show on Vikings First and Skull wrote a piece today, because one of the interesting things he said is why he left Alabama originally, and he only had like 85 snaps, even though he was supposedly the best corner in the room, was due to politics. And the interesting thing about he's been investigating is that everybody in that room in Alabama produces some hellaciously good corners. You guys got one of them up in Detroit. Was that he was the one that wasn't a 4 or 5 star recruit. And the whole idea of Alabama being able to continually get 5 and 4 star recruits is the fact that, hey, we take these guys and we make them pros. It's not as good to say, hey, we got this guy who was a 3 star and made him a pro, because then 4 and 5 stars may not want to come there as much. So that's when he went off to Oregon and had a good year. So I'm looking forward to him. It's going to be interesting to see. I like the idea of bigger corners. And again, Brian Flores is going to mix and match and do his voodoo magic on the defensive side, and it's going to be outstanding. But why do we need corners so much? Because we got some good wide receivers in this division. And Chicago's just got better.
Yeah. Speaking of which I have to commend the Bears for their picks. We all knew the number 1 pick was going to be Caleb. I mean, that's just obvious. But I like the number 9 pick. I was very, very scared of that guy when he played for Washington. He was the one guy I was worried about in the championship game versus Michigan. I watched him all year. He's constantly open. He's constantly getting touchdowns. He's constantly getting long passes, and it's just he's going to be a very, very good wide receiver. And I think that was a great selection at 9. I don't think you give that young man a weapon. I mean, if you had went offensive tackle or whatever, I wouldn't have been mad. But this is the draft. We want to see the Camaros. We want the sports car picks. So I think that was a great pick. I think their first 2 picks, you can't say anything bad about what Chicago did in the first round.
Speak for yourself, Joan. I wanted my own Penei Sewell on my team.
Yeah, I feel you. I definitely understand it. But
Corvettes are nice. Don't get me wrong. The vets are nice. But I am not opposed to a nice little Buick Enclave.
With that being said, let's take a break and we'll get back to you. You'll hear some nice, if you're listening to the audio feeds, you'll hear some nice ads. If you're watching, we'll be back in about 15 seconds. I got this thing about the draft, right? Because every team seems like, nobody has like the perfect draft uh, for your respective teams. I want to know, did you have any head scratchers? Like, why did we go there? And we'll start with you, Dave. What did you have anybody that your team picked? You like, that's kind of
Absolutely.
who elaborate on it?
We picked a kicker. I think drafting kickers, and especially kickers, punters a little bit less, but kickers is idiotic. You can find just as good in UDFAs, or you can find even better that come out of the spring leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And we already picked one out of the spring league. So we have a kicking competition. Great. But it's already foretold, unless he absolutely chokes it out, he's making the team because he's the one drafted. Now, is he a good kicker? Yeah. He was from Alabama. Can he kick under pressure? Yeah, he was from Alabama. But you picked a kicker. That was the one that absolutely blew my mind. I did not agree with, but I can live with. And that kicker's name, once I scroll down, if I remember correctly, is Will Reichard.
Okay.
Now, he's good. And what I like about him is the kid wanted to be an NFL pro kicker since he was like 5. Mm-hmm. He started going to kicking camps when he was 12, right? He wasn't your typical, hey, get the soccer kid over here to kick field goals on Fridays. No, this kid wants to be a pro kicker. He lives it. It's a great way to earn money. You work a grand total of like 6 minutes a year total, and you get paid millions of dollars if you're good. I understand that. It's just the fact that we drafted a kicker in the 6th round. That was the one that just absolutely was a head scratcher. All the other ones made sense. The kicker, though,
Pay.
You drafted a kicker in round 6, Dave. Your second pick in round 6. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No.
What would be worse if you drafted a punter in the 4th round, like my team. My team drafted a punter in the 4th round, Dave, when we still had a question mark at pass rusher. We still had a question mark at we drafted a tackle in the 3rd round. But I mean, he's from Yale, so we know he's smart, but can he, keep somebody off Caleb? I didn't watch any Ivy League games. I don't know if you have, but
no.
We drafted a punter in the 4th round. Now, to me, when you told me what school he went to, I'm like, okay, he was the best player on the team. He went to Iowa. So yes, the punter is probably the best player on the team because he's on the field the most. Because that offense. Caleb told the world right after that pick was made, like, hey, bro, I don't know why they drafted because we're not going to be punting. I agree with my quarterback. We're not going to be punting. We're going to be putting up numbers with him, Keenan Allen, Roma Duzier, and DJ Moore, and the backfield with all those running backs that we got. Why do we need a punter? I mean, good teams need it. Good teams have good special teams, right? You win in the margins. I get that, right? But if the quarterback is right, then that's a wasted pick. You can still get starters in the 4th round. Ryan Poles came out, I think it was yesterday, and said he made the pick just so he could be unpredictable to our opponents. Brian.
It was.
Brian, from me to you, please stop. Don't try to be, when you try to tell everybody that you're the smartest guy in the room and you do things like that, they're not going to listen to you for much longer. Please, from me to you.
Well, the joke that immediately went around is Chicago Bears got 3 of the top offensive producing players from this last college season. Caleb Williams, Odunze, and the Iowa punter.
That's true. That's true. And that's the biggest rose you can put on this, Dave. If you're gonna spray some cologne on a pile of poop, that's the way you do it.
Wow.
That's the way you do it.
Wow. Foster, any head scratchers?
The head scratch, the only part though, the only head scratcher to me was the Vaki guy out of Utah. If there is one to be had, and when you first originally see it and you see running back, I was there's depth that we could have acquired at receiver, depth we could acquire at linebacker, like a developmental linebacker. Not to say that we have a major hole at the linebacking position, but once you realize that he was a two-way player and could provide depth to our safety, special teams, that it made more sense in that regards. But other than that, I think we got great value out of our guys because we didn't have any major holes. I mean, only two of our draft picks are likely to get significant playing time, which is fine when you are a Super Bowl candidate, deep playoff team. So I don't have many gripes there. But yeah, I would say the only one that was a little confusing initially was Vaki, being that it says that he's listed as running back being the primary, but I think he split it kind of down. It was kind of split down the middle.
Okay. Well, you get a bonus this week because you have two Detroit hosts. So I have a head scratcher I'd like to bring to the table.
Okay.
Initially, the second pick, Rakestraw, the other corner. That was for me initially. That was a head scratcher. I had to get some kind of explanation from Brad Holmes' press conference and other fans, because when they made the pick, I was like, what? That was a head scratcher for me, but you have to look at the whole division. This is becoming a pass-happy division with weapons. Often you look at Minnesota has a fleet of receivers. Bears just upgraded with two receivers, with Keenan Allen and the draft pick. They already had DJ Moore. Green Bay has a plethora of receivers. So if you get two corners to start off the draft in defense of that, and that's your explanation, I get it. It was a head scratcher in the very beginning. So I had to process it.
And you look at the top running backs in the division, you got Gibbs, Montgomery, and an ex-Lion Swift. Like, other than that, like, they could be putting that ball. Where Jones? Oh, Jones went to
Vikings.
I guess.
Hey, and if you look at
he was good. He was very good at the end of the last year.
Yeah, and if you look at the tight ends, they're no slouches either.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough division.
Yeah.
For all the rest of the NFL to play.
Yeah. So I think our division, the NFC North, definitely did well in the draft. I think everybody's trending up, especially if you look at the way everybody played at the end of the season. Beginning of the season, there were some slow starts, but at the end of the season, you see those teams that were dragging in the beginning starting to become dangerous. And I think this season is going to be one for the ages as far as the division is concerned, because I don't think I think you have to be careful of whoever is playing. If Caleb can be anywhere near as expected his first year, it could be trouble. Same for with JJ, and I'll never admit it about the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to say anything nice. They've done enough.
Well, I think the Vikings are on a schedule that 2025 will be the masterpiece once we go through free agency and the draft. Then Kwesi will have built his squad. And I'm sure Ryan Poles, since they're on the same timeline, will consider that his final touches as well. So, but it's going to be all four teams are going to be competitive. I still think Detroit has the edge and is the one to beat in the division.
Okay.
Whoa, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit there, Dave.
Wait.
Slow down. Just slow down.
Let's talk about it, Pay.
Let's talk about it. I think the gap between my team, the Bears, and the division-winning Lions has greatly shortened. You know, I still give you the edge. I'll give you the respect where it's due. But after this draft and this offseason, I have my concerns. It wasn't perfect. I'm not gonna give them an A++ for everything that's happened. But judging by the things that have happened, yeah, and buoyed by that, in the last 4 games, these two teams have played each other. The Bears are right there. Could have won 3 of them if it wasn't for mental errors and we actually being bad. I kind of think it's going to come down to the last couple of weeks of the season, last couple of weeks of Christmas and all around that time.
It kind of did this. It kind of did this season. Like it was
for the division.
Yeah,
You had that. You did have that first game with Minnesota.
The Vikings had a chance to win the division. Green Bay had a chance to win the division at the end.
We were sweating over here.
Yeah, it wasn't. Trust me, we were watching. It wasn't clear and cut.
Now,
watch out for the navy blue this time, Honolulu.
Now, where I agree with Pay is that gap has shrunk across all the teams in the division. It's going to be tougher this year.
Yeah, I appreciate Detroit picking up all them the cornerbacks in the draft because what's about to happen. What's about to happen. We put throwing the ball all around the yard.
You still have an unproven rookie quarter.
That's true. That's true. He's unproven.
And what killed us is Fields' ability to
run.
Caleb Williams like that, like where you were up in that category, you lose that.
Yeah, you're correct. But Detroit ain't never really been, super secure on the outside in the back 7, right? So we're gonna test that. And you're right, Caleb Williams is unproven, but I guarantee you this right here, B. Foster. Caleb Williams will be the first quarterback in Bears history to throw for 30 touchdowns and or 4,000 yards passing.
This year.
I ain't saying it's gonna happen this year. It will happen while he's in a Bear jersey. Bear down.
Kind of like golf, right? Okay. While we're on the topic of head scratchers, there was a pick at number 8 that I think everybody can agree that was kind of weird. And I want your take. I know we touched on it a little bit, but Dave, what went through your mind when the Falcons selected Michael Penix Jr.?
Oh, that Kirk Cousins is going to implode. That he does not like a threat of anybody being able to take over his job. He never has. He made it clear while he was in Minnesota. They could draft a backup, but it's going to be a late round backup. This is going to be a clipboard guy. Nobody was to threaten him. That was what the guaranteed money portion of what he likes in his contracts are. He made it perfectly clear. He does not play as well when he thinks somebody's after his job. And Atlanta did just that. Now, also what that told me is his Achilles may not be healing quite as well as he'd like, or Atlanta may like, and he may not be ready week 1.
Well, Kirk Cousins was not happy with the pick.
Oh, no, he wasn't. And his agent, now, supposedly Atlanta told him they were thinking about getting a quarterback, and he was like, okay, fine, right? But then he didn't expect it to be in the first round. He expected it to be, like Michael Pratt or somebody like that, or Spencer Rattler, a third round or beyond type quarterback. And they didn't tell him until they were on the clock that they were taking Michael Penix. And from what I gather, his agent was livid, which means Kirk was livid. So I can't wait for the dysfunction.
Yeah.
We weren't the only team that busted up laughing over it. The New Orleans Saints and our friends over at Dome Patrol were just busting up because they can't wait for that cluster of dysfunction to hit the Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons needed a defender.
Yeah. That's a great group of guys over there at the Saints affiliate. Those guys, I can imagine how that conversation went. Hey, what went through your mind when Atlanta went that route?
The first thing went through my mind was it was a feeling of euphoria. No, not talking about Kendrick Lamar, but it was a wow. Atlanta again, third year in a row. They don't know what to do with the number 8 pick. Wow, we're going to get one. We're going to have a chance to decide between Rome Odunze or Dallas Turner. I was hoping we could win Dallas, but whatever. But it was mostly laughter. It's Atlanta does it again. Why? If you don't think Kirk is the answer, and we all know that he's not the long-term answer, no matter what you think about Kirk Cousins, he's not the long-term answer, right?
Right.
But to draft a quarterback at number 8, 2, a quarterback that was rated to be a back end first round pick at best, 3, over JJ McCarthy. Wow indeed, Atlanta, you've outdone yourself. You have out Atlanted Atlanta. You bravo right there, bravo.
And if Kirk Cousins plays well, which I seriously doubt, because I think he's going over the top of that cliff because of his age, he'll be 36. If he plays well, he's guaranteed that first $100 million for those first 2 years, and then if he's on the team the second year, the third year, most of that's guaranteed. So that's 3 years. Well, if he's starting for 3 years, that puts Penix, because Penix is what, 24 years old, something like that, 25, 26. He's older.
Yeah,
and that's going to put him close to 30 by the time he rolls in to get his first start. And you're wasting that whole first contract of, hey, I got a rookie quarterback. I can now put money elsewhere to build up my team. And of course, Atlanta said, oh, we're doing the, Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love thing. Well, Green Bay screwed that up too, right? They sat Jordan Love. He didn't produce anything the first 4 years because he sat behind Aaron Rodgers. It put a burr under Aaron Rodgers' butt, and he played well, but he sat there, and then they had to pay him after the fact, and they got no benefit from it. And I think Atlanta's going down that same road, and I can't wait.
Okay. Foster.
Well, my initial reaction was that they just made me so enthralled with the fact that his name is Michael and he's a left-handed quarterback thing. But outside of that, like my thinking is that they must not be trying to win right now, because why would you waste a top 10 pick on a guy that's not going to play immediately after spending that much, money on Cousins? It's like you could have brought somebody in that would play immediately and impact the team right now. Like, so I don't know. It looks like they're looking past the Cousin era already, and like we got our next Michael coming up. So I don't know. Very, very odd, hard to make any sense of it outside of the Aaron Rodgers things. But like you said, Penix is he's already older. He's not. You're kind of wasting his prime years sitting behind a very expensive quarterback. So interesting to hear Cousins. The fact that he's not comfortable with somebody that might be taking his job. But hey, at the end of the day, even the agent being upset because he's upset, but you guys just got paid. Who cares? I mean, you're a competitor, you want to play, but you got your paycheck, so it is what it is.
I discussed that with my Tool Bloggers partner, Darren, that because we were both laughing and talking about it, and Kirk's ego was hurt, obviously.
Yeah, it's weird. It was weird.
But I said, well, 100 million guaranteed is a pretty good salve for whatever ails you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd sit there and go, okay, fine.
Yeah. I was puzzled by the pick. I just was like, that makes no sense. And somebody that wanted the Raiders to draft Michael Penix Jr. and you just took him. I like the Raiders, so it was like, So we're coming to an end to the show, and what I like to do now is I'm gonna go around the room one more time, and I want you to give your draft a grade. I know you've done this a couple of times, but for our audience here, hey, how do you grade the overall Chicago Bears draft for 2024?
I'm gonna preface this grade by saying I don't really care about anything that happens after round one. Well, not the round two. After round two is like, yeah, throw some darts on the board, get best player available. We'll talk about it after the draft is over. But after the first 4 picks, that's where I'm tuned into. And the Bears did what they're supposed to do in the first 64. A+.
All right. Dave, grade your overall draft.
I sort of agree with Pay. I don't care about anything after round one. Round one was an A+ for us. We got who we wanted. We got our defender on top of JJ McCarthy, who we think is going to be our next franchise quarterback. And we haven't had one since Dante Culpepper, basically. So I'm very happy with that. We didn't have any day 2 picks. And our day 3 picks, our first one was good. And after that, they're dart throws. There was such a talent drop off. They're dart throws. So, overall, if I had to do all our picks, I'd give it a C+. But that first day, that's where we excelled, and that's where we needed to excel. The day 3 guys are a dime a dozen.
Right.
Not those premium first rounders, though.
Gotcha. Foster.
Yeah, kind of the same sentiments as far as getting the guys early that we want, just because there's not as much knowledge on the guys later on. But I was definitely thrilled with the fact that we were able to trade up and go get Terrion Arnold. We were able to get another corner that we had our eye on as well. So I think that those picks alone kind of do it for me. But overall, I think we got great value, and I gave us the A-, considering we were picking 29th as is. We went into it like we're gonna get slim pickings by the time we get to 29. So the fact that we were able to trade up and not really hurt ourselves, I think it was an A-.
Well, my sentiment is exactly probably about an A-, considering getting Arnold, which never crossed my mind. Like I just knew he wouldn't be around when it was our time to draft. I know the Lions did move up, but at the same time, I didn't see him. I saw him being long gone before 24. So in my mock drafts and the mock drafts that I've watched, and he's never been a person to go past 15. So I think it was the year of the offense in the first round where the offensive players dominated the first 16 picks, all offense. So yeah, To sum it up, I would say, definitely A- for the Lions. Good pick. And I think the NFC North as a whole, they ate really good on the first round picks, and great job by everybody except the Packers. They did okay. They did okay. They addressed the need, though. They did address a need. I will say that. So we're gonna wrap this up. If you want to tell the people again one more time where they can find you, your socials, any kind of information you want to put out there to the people, Dave, we'll start with you.
You can find me at Vikings First and Skol, and that's on YouTube. It's on any of your podcast aggregators, and it's over at Fans First Sports Network under Vikings. We're the written side as well. And we're constantly putting out stuff and having a great time talking Minnesota Vikings. Hey, and a week from today, we have our rookie mini camp. But do you guys also know what happens a week from today? What's going to come out?
No.
The season schedule.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it.
Will we play Chicago in December? Who knows?
Pay? You're muted?
I'm only worried about when the Bears are going to London. That's what I want to know. I've been stacking up my PTO, waiting on this schedule release. It's going to be better than waiting on these diss tracks that's hitting YouTube. You can find the Bear Club Pod anywhere you get your podcast fix from. That's Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, or whichever. We're everywhere you need to be. Where you need to be. Visually, YouTube. Frustrated Chicago sports fan. Check us out there as well. All episodes do drop on there as well, and we do have exclusives just for YouTube. So follow both. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any drops.
All right, Foster, where can you find your material there?
Please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. We are outside of the Lions coverage and the draft profiles we have going for that for the NBA. We have a show every Sunday right now for the Detroit Tigers. We're looking good this year. I'll never forgive the White Sox guys for saying we're as good as them. What are the White Sox doing? But yeah. So we got a lot of Tigers content coming out every week, and just subscribe to all the podcasts wherever you get it at. We got it.
All right. So Dave, what do you say for your team?
Skol Vikings.
I don't know if I want to do this. Pay. Go ahead and say it.
You better bear down, man.
I had a little toilet flush.
It flushed that time.
See ya.